It's Eli. We're here with the Northern Boards podcast. Me and Kang are about to have an awesome chat. How's it going, Kang?
Hey, not too bad. Hey, guess what? I like that you mentioned it's Eli and Kang, because notably, we're missing one prolific member of the Boardcast today. Danny.
Oh, yeah.
Danny may have potentially locked himself out of his car before he could get to today's episode.
Of course.
I'm sorry this is your experience onto the podcast.
Oh,
Eli.
this is the
but
perfect
it's unique.
experience,
It's charming.
right?
And we're going to have Danny join in at some point, some unbeknownst time. Hopefully it's not a jump scare for drivers. He slams in through the door like the Kool-Aid man and jumps on the podcast episode.
I honestly hope that's exactly how it happens.
Honestly?
Because that's just peak Danny experience.
I get it. I would do the same, you know?
Yeah.
So, but welcome onto the podcast, Eli.
Thank you.
Eli, for listeners who don't know, is like quite a prolific painter here at Northern Boards. If you've been to Northern Boards, checked out our cabinets, seen a lot of the painted minis on display, I think a good probably 60 to 70% of them is yours, Eli.
Yeah. I've painted all of Danny's goblins, which take up a massive portion of the cabinet. And then I have my own little section at the top left if you're ever interested and want to check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you also can be found at TheDarkServitor on Instagram.
Yep.
Commissions, ? Pending, maybe?
Yeah, I really want to get more into commissioning, but obviously personal life takes a bit of a toll sometimes, you know.
Absolutely.
It's a lot going on. I'm doing a bit of away work for my work at the moment, so it's hard to do, but definitely want to get back into commissioning. So if anyone's interested, please let me know.
I mean, a big part of what we do here, for anyone who listens to the podcast, if you're hobbyists, is balancing life and hobby, whether it be card games or war games. It's hard, right? It's a challenge. Even on the podcast, it's a challenge for us to balance out how much we talk about Magic the Gathering versus hobby. It was actually really interesting. So, Eli, we had Wade jump on last episode because Wade plays Kill Team. And we're thinking, hey, we can get Wade on. Let's talk a little about hobby. But it ended up just us talking about weightlifting, bodybuilding, gymming, and steroids.
Yeah, that's peak weight experience, though. 100%.
So just to bring steroids back onto the podcast, at this point now, the podcast is the steroid cast. Would you take gear?
I mean,
would you get jacked? Would you get absolutely massively swole, Eli, if you could?
If there was
and the
no
answer is
side
yes.
effects. If there was no side
that
effects,
is true.
Then I definitely would.
That is true.
But like, you see some of those roided out guys, I'm just like, I don't want to.
It's not
like
right.
That,
Yeah. I think steroids sound cool in theory, but don't do it. Hey, if you're young and impressionable, don't do steroids.
Definitely don't do drugs in general.
So let's jump on. All right. So first things first. Obviously, here's gonna be a hobby podcast. We've been what is your current? Have you got any current projects you've been working on?
Yeah. So at the moment, I'm trying to get my Blood Angels up to a point where I can enter them for best painted for WOTC.
Nice. And that's coming up. What, in a couple months? Next month?
End of September.
Yeah.
So I've always painted my playing armies kind of just like base level, maybe a little bit nicer, but I finally decided to take the leap and be like, right, this is my dedicated, nicely painted army. This is my display.
That's your showcase army.
Yeah, exactly,
your
right?
main.
And it's been a lot of work, and I'm so far behind.
And the crazy part is that like normally painting Space Marines is go paint them base color, base, done.
Yeah.
But you're really putting the effort in to make them your own. I know you're doing a bunch of kit bashing as well with custom angel wings, your custom Dante and such. So what made you pick Blood Angels?
So obviously Raven Guard was always my number one, right? I love Raven Guard. I love the lore, the background, how they play, everything. But unfortunately, they got no love in the codex, right?
Yeah, Raven Guard don't exist right now.
Yeah, exactly. There's no point. So I was like, okay, what other Space Marine faction can I play that I really like? And I'm like, I actually love painting red. I could just paint anything red. Or I could just play Blood Angels. Like Space Vampires, I'm a fan.
I dig, dude. I mean, I'm a fan of vampires, and I think painting red is extremely easy, and I enjoy painting red.
Exactly, right?
There's certain spectrums of colors where it's like green, blue, red's totally fine. Once I start touching yellows and whites, don't touch me. Stay away from me.
Yeah.
And like painting browns is generally fairly easy, but it's hard to make browns look impressive.
Exactly, right? There's a level to it. It's like brown can look okay, but to make brown look really good is something I don't have
usually
time for.
Texture work.
Yeah, exactly.
Like brown doesn't appear on armor very often, so browns usually appear on like camo or leather, and those both require a bit more than just base coating it and saying go.
Yeah, exactly. You can't just chuck the paint on, do the highlight. You really have to force that texture in to make it look like something that.
What got you into hobby painting?
Oh man, there's a long story. Basically, when I was like 6,
So very young.
Yeah. My dad decided to get me and my brothers into Warhammer because we were struggling at school. And they're like, this is a good way to make them read and do maths.
Whoa. And your dad was already a Warhammer gamer?
He'd never touched it before.
Whoa.
One of his friends had it and was like, hey, this is kind of like a maths game. And my dad was like, you know what? Let's try it, you know. Before that, he did like hobby cars, hobby planes, that kind of thing. And then so when I was 6, he took us all to a games workshop somewhere in the Northwest. I don't even remember where it was. And was like, right, pick a thing. And then you're going to read about that thing, and then you're going to collect and paint that thing.
As a 6-year-old, were you excited by the prospect?
Oh, I couldn't be more excited. I chose Lizardmen because of course, right?
Are you kidding me? Yeah. Like, even the old Lizardmen sculpts looked pretty cool, dude.
Yeah. So I walked in the school, I was like, big dinosaur? Obviously.
2 thumbs up, go.
Yeah.
And then unbeknownst to you guys, everyone picked like different game systems. Nothing worked, you know. So you didn't realize because what back then it was. What do you reckon? What edition it was of whatever game?
I think it was like 4th or 5th edition fantasy.
Warhammer Fantasy Battles.
Yeah.
So we're talking rules back then were dense. So a 6-year-old kid, I don't know how a 6-year-old is going to comprehend the rules at all.
I mean, luckily for me, I was kind of a bright kid. My older brothers are a little less so, but I just got super into it. I got entranced by the books. Nice. And then in the original Warhammer rule books, they had all these like funny, almost comic strips at the top and bottom of a lot of the pages. I didn't know that. That's
really cool.
Yeah, and I loved them. It was like a little dragon burning an Empire guy or like some other ridiculous thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to read more of this book so I can see more of this funny stuff. Right? And it really got me into it. And then I deep dived into it hard, like my whole family did for quite a while.
Dude, I'm jealous I wasn't playing with Warhammer at 6 years old. That's sick.
I mean, yeah, it was really good. We actually started a club where we lived, and then every time we moved, we kind of started a new little hobby club. Yeah. You know, and it was fucking awesome.
And this is where the passion for Warhammer kicked in, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And from there, it kind of grows. And I guess it is what it is now. When did you find yourself having an affinity to painting miniatures?
So I always liked the idea of painting it, even from when I was 6. When I was 8, I spent like maybe 2 weeks painting a single Saurus Bannerman.
Yeah.
And entered it into a painting comp in Karatha.
Yeah.
That I actually ended up winning because it wasn't going to win. And then this kid is 8. Oh yeah, he can win.
Impressive.
Yeah. I still have the mini somewhere at my
8
house.
years old, having the wherewithal, the dexterity to paint any Warhammer miniature is impressive.
Yeah. Dude, I was just super, super entranced. I was so involved in it. And
also shout out to the parents as well. I guess, giving you the avenue to discover that talent.
Yeah. Well, it kept me out of trouble, right? Like I was at home kind of being a nerd most of the time.
That is true. I do talk to a lot of parents that come through. Every now and again, I'll get the dad and even the mom, actually. They'll come through and they're looking to get their kid into Warhammer because I'll tell them it's better for them than, saying in front of a TV or in front of a computer, 100%. iPad.
Yeah.
Working with their hands.
Yeah, exactly.
It's something that they can stick into in the real world.
Yeah, like it fully develops your hand-eye coordination, your fine motor skills, which I literally use for my real life job now.
Yeah. And also reading at a young age.
Exactly.
I think at 6 years old, even if it's too complicated necessarily to not necessarily designed for a 6-year-old. I think you should still be able to hand it to a kid and then they'll eventually learn and grow into it.
I for sure did not understand the rules properly, but I was like, yeah, some of these stories are good that I could read. And, it's the effort that counts. Like it's the active learning about this.
Do you still have those Lizardmen?
Yeah, 100%.
The OG Lizardmen?
Yeah.
Do you ever go back and just look at it and realize, wow, this is some of the first stuff I've painted, how far I've come?
Oh, man. It's all horribly painted.
Yeah. I have they still do it nowadays, but back when you go to Warhammer stores and you would get yourself a single Space Marine and someone behind the counter would teach you how to paint the Space Marine.
Yeah.
Right? I still have that first demo painted Space Marine in my room.
That's awesome. That's so good.
And it was a Dark Angel and I had really limited palette. I had like Lead Belcher, the Dark Angel's green, and like a red.
Yeah.
And it was like, go. And I still have it. And it's one of those things where I realize now that old school Space Marines, man, they're just kind of goofy looking.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
This was probably around that like 6th, 7th edition. You remember the Dark Vengeance box?
No. I didn't get into Warhammer, 40K especially.
You're more of a fantasy guy.
Yeah. So I only got into 40K like 5 years ago.
Wow, really?
Yeah,
Really?
8th edition, towards the end of 8th edition.
Gotcha. For me, Warhammer was 40K.
Yeah.
I was definitely, I think I would describe myself as like a late generation Warhammer player.
Yeah.
Where my exposure to Warhammer was, whoa, my friends are playing this game called Dawn of War.
Oh.
How cool. Yeah.
Oh,
my friends are playing this thing called Dawn of War, and the box art features this really cool, badass looking Space Marine guy. And that stuck me in. So 40K was a big one for me. And I don't think it would be unbeknownst to say that there's a significant portion of people out there that play Warhammer because they were exposed to some level of Dawn of War or some level of video game media.
Yeah.
I myself want to play Old World Fantasy because I play Total War.
Yeah.
And speaking about Total War, we've played Total War a few times, Eli.
Oh man, I love Total War.
Yeah.
We played that. Tried to get into the more PvP kind of battle stuff.
The multiplayer was wild.
It was a hilarious time.
Yeah, great time.
Yeah, just running full Knight Bretonians and just like, oh yeah, I've charged you.
Yeah, I'm still mad that Trent brought nothing but Wood Elf flyers.
Oh, dude, in
our free for all battle. So me and you had to duke it out when he just sat in a corner with birds.
He just sat on top of that volcano. And just did nothing and won. I was furious.
It's the equivalent of in a Smash Bros game where like you have odd numbers of players, so that all the Smash Bros, like all the people playing Smash Bros are just duking it out on the map, and someone just hides somewhere. And comes in with more lives and wins.
Yeah, that's exactly what he did.
Don't be that guy. Come down and fight me.
And I'm pretty sure that's the last battle he ever played too. So he ended on a win.
He took the crown and went home.
Basically.
Yeah.
Bloody Trent.
I've been working on. So I guess you play Blood Angels also competitively.
Yes.
For WATC, you mentioned. Do you find that the drive to play more competitively pushes you forward to also make and paint better armies?
I think it's kind of in a weird juxtaposition where playing competitively makes you want to collect competitively.
Right.
So you need to have them base coated. You need to have a couple colors on them. That's all you really need. No one at a competitive level really cares what your miniatures look like. It's more about how they play. So I think it's at an odd point where I'm like, yeah, I want to get this stuff and I want to have, I want to give myself the best opportunity to win. And it's just doesn't really line up with
the heart wants the coolest looking army.
Yeah.
But the brain says we need to take the trophy home.
Yeah, exactly, right? So I've been grinding out a lot of games pretty unsuccessfully lately, actually.
How would you say Blood Angels fare in the meta right now? This is the funny part of the hobby podcast where we talk about like relevant timing things.
Yeah.
What do you think is the most OP army right now?
Oh, there's not actually an army that has a
10th edition 40K has had quite a merry-go-round, a carousel of
100%.
Like strong armies, weak armies, strong armies, weak armies. I think most armies have had a time to shine.
Yeah.
Even the underrepresented armies, Drakari and Gene Stealer cults had time in the sun.
Yeah. Gene Stealer cults are having a bit of a resurgence right now because I think people have figured out how to play them.
Nice.
It's because they're in a weird spot where they don't.
I call it the Gene Stealer anomaly. Every now and again they win a tournament and you can't explain why.
Yeah, exactly.
They just do.
Yeah. We at the last tournament I went to, there was a Gene Stealer player that did really well. I think he came like third or something.
Wow.
Just out of nowhere. I'm like, I've never seen this man in my life.
Yeah.
And he just comes back with his Gene
He is
Stealers,
an IRL Gene Stealer. He just pops out of the ground, wins a
Yeah.
tournament. You've never seen that man practice.
Yeah.
You have never read the Gene Stealer rules, so you don't know what the hell they're doing.
Exactly.
He wins a tournament.
I think that's a big part of the problem where it's like they're so not relevant that you don't study up on them.
No one ever practices against him.
And then all of a sudden they come in and like he's a good player. It's like, oh, what the fuck do I do?
Yeah.
Like,
what are you like watch out armies? Everyone has like the armies where they need to be careful of because like, let's say like Custodes are really strong in a meta.
Yeah.
Everyone's trying to tech against Custodes, for example.
So at the moment it would be Death Guard for sure.
Yeah, Death Guard are real good.
Death Guard, just with all their new rules, their updates, the points drops, all this kind of stuff, they are very, very sturdy, but they're also really mobile now. Like they can go up, down, they can go all over the place.
They give Death Guard mobility.
Yeah. So they also got the 6-inch deep strike and charge.
Whoa.
Like you put a massive
Blood Angel rules
there. Yeah, exactly.
They gave Death Guard Blood Angel rules.
Strike like that. So they're really frustrating to play against. Other than that, Thousand Suns always super annoying. They also got new decent rules. They can have their regular bolt guns up to AP4.
Huh?
Yeah. Yeah, so they're shooting down knights with bolters.
That's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, Nathan can attest to how good they are. He literally just points at one unit per turn, deletes it. Doesn't matter what they are, they're gone.
Thousand Suns. I do hear people talk about Thousand Suns a lot.
Yeah.
Where in Northern Boards, we'll have the player just be like, "That's bullshit."
Yeah.
What is going on?
Yeah. Northern Boards is at a kind of a funny spot for competitive play because it's definitely more on the casual side. People like to have fun here, which I really appreciate. So when people come in and like, this army's kind of BS, whatever, I'm like, in the meta, it's not really. It's fine.
You'll be right.
Yeah.
Easy. Do you still play Warhammer Fantasy, or what we call it Warhammer Fantasy Old War now?
I haven't played for a long time, but me and my brother just started getting back into it.
Itching for the square bases, dude.
Yeah.
I know me and Danny. Like Danny already loves. He's a fantasy boy, so he loves the square bases.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of diving back in. My first foray into Warhammer for the first time.
Yeah.
They just dropped Grand Cathay as a new list.
Yeah.
Very exciting time. This is the first time Warhammer Fantasy has had a new faction in a decade?
Oh, I can't even
over
remember
a decade.
The last time they put a new faction into the game.
Because what was it? Age of Sigmar came out, and Warhammer Fantasy 8th was 2016, 2015?
Yeah, that was the last time I played Fantasy.
So I would say probably about 10 years.
Yeah.
After 10 years, over 10 years even, we have a new army, brand new system, exciting stuff. Grand Cathay is completely new sculpts. From what I am aware of in the lore, they were already in development before the game shut down.
Yeah.
So they kind of just pieced together the information they had and brought a brand new army. I love them. I think they look great. Also, they're basically fantasy China. So it's kind of an extra plus one for myself to be like, hey, those guys look like me. I can play those things.
I can relate.
Check it out, dude. And also, it has a natural affinity because I already like playing more human adjacent armies.
Yeah.
I like my more jack of trade armies because I don't like being railroaded when I build lists.
Yeah.
That's why I play Astra Militarum, for example.
Yeah.
Outside of melee, really, in Astra Militarum,
you can still kind of do it.
Kind of. Yes. They're a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
So having Grand Cathay is also more of a jack of all trades army means that I don't feel limited in how I want to play.
Yeah.
Plus, it looks sick.
I think some of their centerpiece models are also really awesome.
That Sentinel?
Yeah, the Sentinel.
God damn, bro.
He's so cool.
He's the size of a Mega Gargant.
Yeah, I can't wait for people to start painting him well.
Yeah. I think me and Eli, we had a moment where we looked up how other people were painting the Sentinels, and none of us were like impressed necessarily.
No.
So he's a big piece. So it's a grand taking for any painter to try and paint that. Yeah. I think you can take the easy way, which is what everyone's going to do. It's probably just a bit of dry brushing, base coating, dry brushing washes and such. But you can go extreme. You can do a lot of airbrushing work. You can do a lot of texture work.
Yeah.
We were talking about maybe making him marble,
which is really cool.
A pretty ludicrous undertaking. But if you could pull it off,
yeah, it would be. I think you would have to do a lot of it by hand rather than the cheat way as well. But it would just look so good.
Do you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite thing you've painted?
A favorite thing I've ever painted,
or like a top 3, something like notable that you remember in recent memory that you've finished up. Every painter has, their miniature that they finished painted up, and they just look back and they're satisfied. They're like, they know that this was a fun one, or they've enjoyed it. They're really happy with how it came out.
I am definitely cursed with not being happy with most of my painting, for sure. But I think
always your worst critic, right?
Oh, absolutely. I painted up a High Elf Lord on an eagle with a little diorama.
Yes, it's on display at all the boards.
And I did rush it, but it came out really, really well. And despite the fact that it didn't do well at the painting comp I put it into, I'm pretty stoked about it.
Yeah.
If I actually put another 30 hours into it, it would be insane.
Yeah. It was one of those ones where, because I was in the paint competition as well, I think we kind of decided to jump in on it at a pretty late deadline.
Very, very late.
Very late deadline. And you did solid, impressive work. A diorama piece of that scale in a short deadline.
I think I painted it in 3 days.
Damn.
And just absolutely smashed it out. And this is while I was still working, and it was not a good idea to do it that quickly. 100%.
But you can come to Northern Boards and you can check it out. I think it's on display here, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's in the shelf amongst all the other stuff. But other than that, I really, really, really enjoyed painting the Demon Primarchs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Mortarion was maybe one of my favorite things I've ever painted for enjoyment wise. Mm-hmm. He's got so much texture, so much interest, so many cool things happening, and you can all paint them wildly differently, and it was really, really fun. I'd love to paint another one.
Definitely. Oh, I hear the door cracking open. We've got the Kool-Aid man coming through.
The Kool-Aid man coming through.
Easy. It's I haven't painted a whole lot recently, and there's little spatterings of things I enjoy painting. I think of recent note, I've been able to paint a Dark Souls miniature. Like a little Dark Souls Sith.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Sith. If you know Dark Souls, you know. But it's a wolf carrying a sword in its mouth, and it's a really it's a board game miniature, so it hasn't got a lot of detail on it. But it was actually really enjoyable to paint, and trying to take something that doesn't have inherently a lot of detail and trying to give it a bit more life with with paint. Because the benefit of being Warhammer players is that all of our miniatures come out looking spectacular already.
Oh, I think we're very spoiled in that sense. Very spoiled in that sense.
All right. Do you have a miniature that you just hated painting?
Oh,
because I'm currently going through that a little bit here. I have, we've mentioned this on the podcast before, but I'm trying to paint a Dante, Commander Dante for the Blood Angels. Lovely looking miniature, really cool, really fun piece. And I went into it with a ton of like zeal and like really enjoying it. And I'm coming out of it losing my mind because I've been glazing gold panels for the last like 30 hours.
So mine is very similar in the fact that it's gold.
Anyways, now we're joined by our honored guest, Danny, of the Boardcast. Hey, guest Danny.
Have you ever heard of the concept of the triad of life? Ever heard this? So what it is like the life is a tripod, and the ground is uneven and it's shifting constantly, right? And as long as you keep winding the individual parts of like the legs down, then you'll stay in perfect balance. Well, what my life is just an enormously girthy single leg of work, and the concept of is that you have there's three points of life.
Right. So yours is not a tripod. Yours is the tree of Danny.
Yeah. So it's like
the tree trunk of Danny.
It's supposed to be your work life, your love life, and your personal life. So your love life is like your family and your friends and your partner. And then your work life is your work, because you have to, achieve wealth throughout life to keep
These are things
going.
you have to do.
Things you have to do. And then you have your personal life, which is like your health and your, I guess this is an old thing. So we meant hobbies, but I don't know what the hobbies were, what they meant right now.
We've been chatting about Warhammer. We're talking about how much you like the Kool-Aid Man. You're going to bust through that door.
That's exactly what
we
happened.
Also brought up, I'm trying to keep the theme going. So we started off the Boardcast as the Dune cast, and now we're the Steroid cast. So I asked Eli if he could take gear. Would he take gear?
Wait. So your tripod of legs is also what we're focusing on as well.
Do you reckon gear would make you better or worse at painting miniatures?
Worse, 100%. Imagine having muscly fingers and trying to do tiny work.
You can't really grow muscles in your fingers.
That's why I paint with my
Euro gear.
That's why I paint with my left hand, because my right hand is far too large now.
My right arm is bigger for different reasons, but we'll get to that.
So I want to call it out straight away. I did go out last night, but I didn't drink, and I was in bed by 12 o'clock. It's got nothing to do with what's going on. My life is a complete, I was talking about my girthy leg of tripod. My life is a complete fucking shit show. I don't know if you know, Eli, but I moved out of my partner's house during the podcast, since sometime in the process of the podcast, episode 1, and now I left and I've been living at my mother's house. And because my focus on work is far too significant, what I did was I didn't really have time to go find a proper rental, do the thing where you rock up and there's 75 people there waiting to see the house. And
what a nightmare.
You've also done this process fairly recently.
Yeah.
And I just didn't have time to do that and then send resumes of my personal self and all this kind of stuff, whatever. So in that meantime, since I've moved out, my car's both broken down. So I'm using Connor's car, which he very graciously lends me. That's why any avid recruiters of the boards will have seen the Audi sitting outside. And one of my favorite things is explaining why it's sitting there.
It's Audi for decoration.
Anyway, this morning I wake up and because I've been moving. I've been paying rent at a place for 5 months now that I haven't moved into, which is super fun, but also paying rent at my mum's where I've been living. So yesterday with Lucas, we started moving out, which means most of my room is that I was living in is a bit of a schmozzle. But to be fair, it was already a schmozzle, because imagine you took a 12-year-old girl's room with everything that a 12-year-old girl would have in it, and then you just put me on top of it.
What a nightmare.
So it's
what a nightmare.
My mother's time-capsuled bedroom of my sister. And I was just living, all of her stuff was still there. She's never changed anything. Yeah. So there's literally
You're like a Monsters Inc. monster opening the closet and being like,
it is.
Whose room is this?
Yeah, and now I'm squatting in there. That's exactly what I am. Imagine Sully, but he's squatting inside the kid's room. Yeah. So there's doll rooms and all of her clothes, all of her sports gear, trophies, and
you start hearing sounds when you're trying to sleep, whispers.
And I just had to transpose my items that I was able to take with me on top of that. So I'm just sleeping on her bed with frilly sheets and stuff like that. And it's been months now. I'm talking about 9 months, because my life is a fucking shit show. Anyway, we started moving out yesterday, so everything's all over the place. I don't know what it is. Anyway, I wake up this morning And I don't know where my car key is. I've got no idea.
Yeah.
And I have my beautiful mother in the background, lovely lady, trying to help, just shouting like, "Is it in your pockets? Is it in the toilet?" And I'm like, she's trying to be helpful, but the least,
helpful
I know I'm absolutely useless.
Like I already checked my pockets,
yes,
I swear.
Yeah. And she's like, "Oh, did you sleep with it? Like, did you fall asleep with your pockets and now it's in your bed?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Like I'm trying to be nice, but like the least helpful information. You know what I mean? Like, yes, clearly I checked there. But also I'm like, maybe somewhere in the string of like 19 bad suggestions, maybe there's one that's good. There wasn't any, but I get normally she's, maybe she should get on there. So
there's always a chance. Right?
I'm trying to listen. My dad's incredibly deaf, so he is sitting there and he's just yelling about what's going on. And very luckily, my brother's also a middle-aged man living with my parents, and because I had a spare key. I've had a spare key the entire time, but the spare key's battery died, and I haven't changed that for ages. But luckily, my brother, he woke up and then he changed his spare key battery not like this week, so he changed the key on the car so I could get in the car. And what I was really hoping was that because that car for some reason locks itself constantly, and
it has that old school security measure.
Yeah, it does. Even when you're inside it. It'll just lock while you're inside. So then someone will try to get out of the car and they're like, "Can I get out?" And you're like, yeah. Sorry about that. It's like I kidnapped people. So I got the spare key and I drove here, but I had a lot happened in the last couple of hours, and I'm like, my tripod's off, man. my personal life tripod is fucking off.
Right now it's a UFO. It's floating.
Oh yeah,
it's figuring its own self out.
But it's very stressful. I just ate 180 kilograms of grams.
Jesus Christ, he's turned into a bear.
180 grams of
He's getting me to hibernate, dude.
that I bought for my nan at IJ last night. Sorry, I'm gonna have to buy her a new gift, I guess. Anyway, Eli, how are you going?
Welcome to the podcast, Eli. Welcome to the Boardcast, dude.
I'm going good, man. I got here nice and early. I was waiting in the rain.
I even messaged Kang earlier to be like, I'm running late, and then I looked at my phone. I haven't sent it, and I was like, for sick.
I sent a message to. I was supposed to send a message to you, being like, "Hey man, podcast coming down. Let's get ready."
Yeah.
And then I sent it to my mom by accident. He's an extremely Chinese woman who doesn't really understand what's going on. So I can't wait to have that conversation back home and be like, "What is
podcasting? Where am I supposed to be?"
When my mom receives messages from me, she has to decipher them because I'll text her in English.
Yeah.
And she'll have to pull up the dictionary and be like, go through it all. So I can't even begin to try and explain what a podcast is to her.
I don't think there's a direct translation, right?
My singular part.
Mom, I talk nonsense on a microphone. Good luck finding it.
Yeah, good luck. I'll send it to you, Mum. It's fine.
Oh God.
We are my life is completely harmonious in the singular part of the tripod. My work life is generally quite. I'm like very calm, and I may appear aggressive and loud, but I'm. Most of it's for the bit, right?
Most of it's for the command game.
Yeah, it's like I'm usually very calm with work. Everything's working quite smoothly. In fact, work-wise, everything's the smoothest it's ever been, incredibly, right? So I'm expecting some sort of torrential come down. If the roof flooding and the electricity going can't break us, we've got
the
it.
Pendulum has to swing back somehow.
Just like Avatar, we're fighting the elements here. But
we can't control World War III.
If we all get drafted. Podcast doesn't matter.
Normally, I'm
deaf and blind. I swear.
Well, normally my ADHD is my life is very cyclical, but I have bad processing memory, I'd say, right? Mm-hmm. So if everything goes to plan, normally I come here on a Saturday night and then I'm here, so I see the podcast area needs cleaning, I clean the podcast, and it means I know I do podcast in the morning, right? Mm-hmm. But last night, instead of coming here, I went to my mate's band in Fremantle, which means I wasn't here, which means I didn't have the physical reminder about it. And then this morning I woke up and I was throwing my room apart trying to find my key. I was I completely fucking forgot about the thing until you messaged me.
No, that's my bad, because I think you messaged me yesterday being like, "Hey, we got anything on Sunday?" And I was like, "Yeah, nah, don't worry about it."
Yeah, I appreciate you taking that on, but just like a guy in a movie jumping in front of a bullet, not your problem whatsoever.
It was the bullet's fault.
I use Google Tasks to tell me what I'm doing every week, as well as a calendar, as well as a note system for I write notes on what I want to talk about the podcast. So I have 3 points of items on my phone to tell me to be here, and then completely.
I do the lame thing of stick a Post-it note next to my wallet. So whenever I need to leave the home, I'll grab my wallet. I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's the thing I need to do."
I don't know if you yourself has ADHD or you deal with someone who does. a lot of people think will be like, we'll just have a calendar and then you can organize yourself. But the problem is that you don't check the calendar.
Yes, you need to put it somewhere where you will forcibly be like, that's the thing in front of me.
100%. And also, like, I also have like 4 fucking calendars. Like, I have my workbook that I write everything in every day, as long as I remember to do that, which sometimes I don't. Like, you know, we're working with Sarissa here and she's been doing my invoicing. And she'll be like, oh, what is this? And I'll look at that. I'm like, I don't know what that is. Because she'll take my notes and then she will like regurgitate them into like the formatting for the invoice. And then I'll go send them to the customers. And it's very helpful, incredibly helpful that she's doing that for me, because normally I try to do that on top of everything else. It's also meant some of the Wednesdays and Sundays I've been able to like sit with people and play games like Highlander and stuff. It's quite nice, actually. And usually it's something I try to get done by like the 4th or the 5th of the month. And often it blows out to like the 19th or 20th. So having her do it is very, very helpful. But because of my note-taking process isn't always the best, sometimes she'll come with me a question and I'll have to think about it. And then I'll go Google the address and look at the house in Google.
Yeah, a lot of it is bad handwriting.
A lot of it is bad handwriting as well.
Not from yourself, but from like what is John.
Yeah, the other guy as well, yeah. But like I have to Google the address and I'll sit there and stare at Google Maps and be like, try and envision me being there to remember what it is I'm like trying to tell her. And like it's all a bit fluffy, but we're compressing the fluff down into a nice like.
We're making it work. It's working. The wheels are still on this train, dude.
Anyway, how's the gym going, Eli?
The gym is not going.
Not going?
The gym is not going at all.
Just no personal time. No, your tripod's also off balance.
No, I actually balanced it by cutting the leg off. The gym leg just got cut off.
Oh, really?
No, it's just I came back from one of my shifts away and my work life just got really, really stressful and hectic.
Yeah.
And I was like, rather than pile on the stress of going to the gym and keeping fit onto this, I'm just going to cut that out for now. Focus on work and then just live.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
And like we normally go to like Banksy Grove because it's like the Revo because it's quite close to where we are.
Yeah.
But Lucas broke up with his he's not gonna listen to this. Sorry, we can talk about it, it's fine. Lucas broke up with his girlfriend because he wants to focus on football, right? Yeah. But then they also would go.
How career minded of him.
I know, right? At 14, because I had my child at 17. Him specifically in brackets.
That's only 3 years difference.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Right. So you
got 3 years to play football then.
He's got 3 years to play football.
I didn't focus on leaving my girlfriend to make better decisions. So I'm proud of him that he somewhat did, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what was happening is like they'd go to the gym at the same time. It was kind of awkward because it's a smaller gym. Like,
fuck.
You know, they're also teenage kids. Like,
so the drama and all the bullshit. They can't escape it.
You know, you break up with someone like I think he still really liked her or whatever feelings he had for her. So seeing her is like a little painful. So we'd go because they're weird kids. And like it's like they're modern children, so they have each other on Snapchat, so they can see each other where they are all the time.
What a nightmare! They know each other's location at all times.
He knows like 1,000 kids' locations. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
that's kind of creepy.
Yeah, it is.
Like I know it's not, but like it kind of is.
To me,
the thing is, we come from a generation where we respected each other's privacy, and the idea of being able to know where all your friends are at all times is terrifying. But for kids, they grow up in this world where it's normal. I just want to like we all know where each other are right now.
Yeah,
there's no secrets. You don't know. There's no secrets anymore.
I think a big part of it is there's an app called Life 360, and that's what like the majority of Australian parents use to track their children with their phones because kids get iPhones really early, and it's like it's obviously that intention is to have safety about where your child is and where this like make sure they're not anywhere they're supposed to be. One of my favorite parts of Life 360.
Yeah, you see a kid getting like dragged across the Pacific Ocean.
Well. If your child's in a vehicle and they're driving erratically, it'll send you like a prompt. So I could always see how bad his mother was as a driver because every time she's in the car with him, I get like erratic driving warnings. I'm you gotta sort your shit out. But like I think because children grow up with that and they know their parents are tracking them all the time, then it makes them oddly like familiarized with being tracked by all their friends as well.
There's such a wild concept to me, right?
Yeah.
I would rock up home after like 2 days of not being home, covered in blood. My mum would be like,
okay, you're alive.
That's it.
Get in the shower.
I think it was called like a latchkey kid, I think is the idea, is because you would just come in with a latch at the end of the day, right? Yeah. And like, did you grow up the same way or your parents were
My parents were pretty strict, but I grew up still in that environment of the suburb kids. So I got exposed to it,
Like I think because it's like I grew up before. How old are you, Eli?
I'm 33.
33. So we're same age, right?
Yeah.
We grew up like before mobile phones.
Yeah.
It was still landlines. So it was okay.
If you wanted to see someone, you had to go see them.
Correct. Yeah. Right. And I think it was also somewhat acceptable if you didn't make contact with your parents to a degree because it wasn't as simple as that. Yeah. Like you had to. still memorized your first landline number? Do you remember it?
It's 99492102.
Don't call it.
9305
Actually, go call it. See, let us know
dude,
let us know in
it'd
the
be
comment
hilarious
section
to
who
call
picks
it.
up.
Yeah.
I remember mine, and I can't remember where my key was that I had the podcast this morning or to bring breakfast. But I can remember my landline number from when
That's
we were
because your parents were like, remember this number.
Yes.
If you ever get in trouble, call this number.
That's exactly right.
drilled into you.
Yeah.
I know a kid who went to primary school and his mother sewed his phone number, landline number, into every single bit of clothing that he had, like a little patch on
just in
thing.
case.
Yeah, because he was.
It's like a lost key.
When he gets
call
kidnapped,
this and give it back to
You
me.
know what to call. Hey, we want $12.
It was really interesting because
$12.50 was a
these kind of chats we've had on the Boardcast before. It was really interesting if we could have this as a guest. There's a fella in the community here who works as like head of department in a school, like head of department for maths department. And I really long chat with him outside on the boards once till like 1 a.m. We're just talking about how like as a teacher, what it's like now with kids now who have grown up with technology and a new landscape of children and teaching. And they're trying to balance out that like hopefulness, but also being like, wow, kids are like losing a lot of literacy skills and numeracy skills and like certain functional skills. And also kids now are less technologically adept now than ever before. So it's little things
that like do them for
correct.
it.
It's all assistance now, right? So as a teacher, he was talking about how he's been a teacher for the last 10 years. He can just see, just anecdotally, the path of like children like going down on the scale.
Yeah.
And it's like maybe like you just can't be too pessimistic about it. Maybe like this is how life goes. It's always been a pendulum of like children get a little bit dumber and children get a little smarter, children get a little dumber, children get a little smarter.
What I think actually increases is the dichotomy between the ones that are doing well and the ones that are doing
correct.
poorly.
There's a bigger divide.
There's
now.
a much bigger divide.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the name of it, but the thing that they use to test the children to depend on like
the NAPLAN.
Yeah, I think that. I think what they're
But that's
doing
more
is
of a literacy skill, right?
yeah, but I believe they're planning to.
Have I told my story about the fucking NAPLAN? I think I brought it up on the podcast once. Yeah. I goofed my NAPLAN on purpose. I was really bored. So I just wrote about Assassin's Creed.
Oh, yeah.
So I had a NAPLAN test for year 7 school, and I think a teacher told us that the NAPLAN test isn't going to be assessed for the school itself. It's like a national thing, right? So I got handed the literacy NAPLAN test, and like, I wouldn't call myself a smart kid, but I wasn't ever a dumb kid. I was just bored. So I spent my entire time on the NAPLAN test just writing out the plot line of Assassin's Creed. And then I didn't realize that notes get sent home to my parents. So my parents got home a note of my NAPLAN test basically saying I was retarded. I got my ass beat. My parents beat me so bad that day, dude. So...
Yeah, I can't imagine how that went down.
No, it was great.
It's almost a shame because would they know that like I mean it's impressive more that they're teaching you what Assassin's Creed was like. Maybe they thought.
No, as a kid, I just played video games and watched YouTube videos. I was like, I get this kind of.
Yeah, but if you'd come up with that story on your own,
I did a couple of my own. I just regurgitated it.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but how would they know that? How do they know that? I mean, like the teacher.
No, because the NAPLAN test gives you things like, I don't know, just explain this paragraph. And I'm like, no. So there's this fella by the name of Altair. Yeah. Anyway, so he was.
I think if I was an older teacher, I
also fuck that guy behind the NAPLAN test, dude. Why don't you just take my test and throw it in the bin? You're not taking it seriously.
Nope.
Yeah.
Gotta call him up.
He was worried. He's like, oh, this child's been only educated by video games.
Hell yeah, dude. I'm okay with that. Kids nowadays are basically taught by Kai Cenat and video games.
Well, I think that's what what I was trying to say is it looks like they're trying to reduce the NAPLAN levels that you need to be.
Oh no!
Yeah, to readjust
to boost.
essentially.
They have to adjust it to the scale.
Yeah,
the scale has moved now.
But it's like that's like not ideal because 20 years from now, people are like, oh yeah, the numbers are the same. It's the numbers have shifted.
Yeah, what I'm gathering from teachers, it's more like the vocabulary has changed a lot. The vocabulary has it's just like short in scale and it's different now. So
a lot less reading, which exposes you to a lot less words.
Correct.
So.
I think one of the big ones is just kids are reading less than they ever used to.
Like I don't know, like what your exposure to.
Well, we talked about it because Eli just earlier on, he got into Warhammer when he was 6 years old because his dad was, hey, we want you to read books. Here's Warhammer Fantasy Battle.
Yeah, basically.
Can you imagine reading that at 6 years old, dude?
Yeah, I think that would have shifted my entire I would have been. Assuming that I'm a space marine for most of my life, I think. At that point.
Fantasy, not 40K.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, square bases.
I was an Empire.
We exclusively square bases here right now, right? So
I can definitely appreciate that. Yeah. That is pretty cool though.
Just judging from Eli, what do you think his first ever Warhammer army was? Hint, it's a fantasy army.
Yeah.
What do you reckon it was? Because if I looked at you, Danny, I would be like orcs or dwarves, or goblins.
I reckon it's got to be an elf one, right?
No. I was 6, remember?
Yeah. The lizard men.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Dinosaurs, baby.
Because it's dinosaurs, right?
Yeah. Not bad.
Every 6-year-old's like, I've seen the stegodon.
Yes.
That's my life now.
I had a large collection of plastic dinosaurs that I had when I was a child.
Absolutely.
And when my granddad passed away when I was a kid, I think it was about 10, and we did like a big not boot sale, home sale, garage sale, big garage sale, and we put together all this stuff. And I was like thinking that I was like at 10, I was like a big boy, and I was gonna sell a bunch of stuff, my toys at the garage sale. Anyway, I sold my collection of dinosaurs for probably pittance. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I cried so much. I was also hell stupid then because my family in New Zealand had sent $50 to me. From New Zealand in like a letter, I guess, right? And in my dinosaur magazines that I'd also sold that day, I'd hidden a $50 note. I don't know why, but in my mind that's what it was. And the guy was kind enough to come back and give me the $50 note from inside the dinosaur things. But I remember the end of the day.
Also, you know, you want to be taking $50 from a kid.
Yeah, I guess that's some bad karma, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like I'd cleared out all my dinosaur things, and then at the end of the day, I had no dinosaur things, and it wasn't worth it. Yeah. No amount of money was worth it, and that's why now I'm an incredible hoarder. I learned that lesson early on. You know what I mean? Like,
it's your parents are trying to teach you a lesson when you were a kid, and you learned the opposite lesson, which is no, never let go.
You know, like even modern society is trying to ruin our dinosaurs now. Now they're trying to turn like velociraptors into parrots and shit like that. Fuck off.
It's accepted now that dinosaurs are like feathered.
Yeah, that's fine.
They're
like
more feathery.
But fuck off, man. Like,
do you reckon they taste like chicken?
Oh, that would have been hell.
Do you reckon were dinosaurs red meat or white meat? You know what I mean? Like, is it turkey meat?
Nah, it's got to be white meat because I've had a lizard before. Lizard's pretty.
Oh, and they're like turkey meat.
Yeah, but like that's a lot of white meat, bro. That's a big turkey.
So at what point did we have cows?
I think cows have got to come pretty late, right?
Listen, I don't know that much about it.
All right, so Eli as a guest on the podcast. We're on to our main segment here after we ramble on for about 40 minutes. Welcome to the actual part of the podcast. We had you on. I brought you this idea earlier in the week. Mm-hmm. We're gonna talk about name me 3 of your favorite armies to paint and 3 of your least favorite armies to paint. And this can be whether you enjoy the thematics of it or where you're just like, I hate painting this because it's a pain in the ass. Just name me off. Let's start with the juicy. Let's start with the easy one. Your 3 favorite things you painted.
Okay, so
3 favorite armies things.
Unfortunately, it's going to be really, really basic white girl bullshit because I'm going to say Space Marines.
I get it.
Space Marines, 100%. It's specifically Imperial Fists.
Yellow.
Full yellow army. I painted like 3,000 points for this guy in the UK. Mm-hmm. And I was like, starting out, I was like, this is going to suck, man. I hate painting yellow. How do I do this? Did a bit of research. I'm like, oh, okay, this is pretty easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I enjoyed it immensely and they turned out super well.
I think Space Marines are designed to be fairly straightforward to paint, but very satisfying, gratifying to paint because you can smash out a Space Marine and get that dopamine rush, a satisfaction, being like, I've done it. I painted a Space Marine. On to the next one.
Yeah, exactly, right?
I feel like there's a lot of thoughts around the new Primaris like design and models, but what it really does create is like a painter's haven because there's a lot of panels and like it's not paint by numbers, but there's a lot of spaces there where for a basic painter it's a lot easier to tackle because there's all these different panels.
It's designed so that you can base coat, wash, and it already gets table ready. There's a thing that people don't realize that when they did Age of Sigmar and the Stormcast Eternals, a significant portion of the design of the Stormcast Eternals and the way they were designed was so that you could take gold, wash it, and make it really easy to and just like on the table. And the reason why blue is used so much in a lot of beginner like Ultramarines, Stormcast Eternals is because blue is an extremely beginner friendly paint.
Yeah, it's very
great
forgiving.
Coverage, generally smooth out of the pot.
Yeah,
so
it's a very forgiving paint. Like if you fuck it up too bad, it doesn't. You don't. It's not super obvious. Right. Like you don't.
And if you goof up yellow or white, you're gonna notice it.
Oh, you got to start again.
This has gone way completely tangentially. Mm-hmm. But do you know the blue LED was the last LED to be invented, and the guy won a what's the science prize that you win?
Nobel Prize.
Yeah, he won one of those for inventing the blue LED.
Oh, was it just too hard to make?
Yeah.
Because light wants to be orange, right? Like yellow orange.
Yeah, I guess it has a natural thing that it's trying to achieve.
Because effectively, light is just
the paint took all the easy and left the light with none.
Oh, yeah, I don't think we're smart enough to be saying.
Yeah, I don't want to judge this. I bet it was a tremendous achievement, and shout out to the guy. But
shout out to the guy that invented
shout out to the light bulb guy. But that's Thomas Edison, right? So at the Nobel Prize, you have people who are like, I invented the thing that saves people's lives. Yeah. I present this invention that is the seatbelt for the car, or I invented penicillin. My light bulb is blue.
Blue. Well, back to the Imperial Fist then, is that where you feel is like a part of the like enjoying doing that from, because you've been able to take something that most people think is quite hard and have a good result from it?
Yeah, kind of a little bit, right? Like it's kind of like all these people struggle, and I just found a really easy, nice way to do it that just wasn't hard.
Was it with an airbrush?
Yeah. So it's just base coating it pink, and then like zenithing it white, and then going in with like any yellow, and it turns it from like a nice yellow to like an amber.
So the base coating of the pink makes the yellow like look better on top of it or something?
No, so the yellows doesn't cover well, right? So it won't cover over black. It won't cover over blue.
Yellow
like it just
likes to be translucent.
Won't. So it's very translucent. So if you go pink, yellow and pink make orange, which is what you would expect the shadow for yellow to be anyway.
Got it.
Right? So then you do it pink, and then you do a bit of white over top, so it has that gradient, and then like that's 90% of your work.
Yeah.
What was more daunting, starting the yellow or having to ship it to Britain and then hoping it doesn't die on the way there?
Oh my God. The first time I shipped it to the UK, after 2 months, it came back to me.
Are you serious?
Did a round
Yeah,
trip.
I'm not joking.
So it was like a fail to deliver, so they sent it all the way back?
Yeah, 100%. It cost me like $300 for delivery.
Oh my
And then
God.
I had to send it again.
Is it because you like the British
they charge you for it and
receiver like information is different? Like do they put their addresses and stuff differently?
No, I got the exact address wrong. It didn't even tell me why it came back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it
would say, hey,
stressed me
fuck
out
this
more
guy.
than anything, because it was like a massive big case
Yeah.
full of 3,000 points worth of like custom dudes, including like a Rogel Dawn and stuff.
Yeah.
And oh my God, when I got that back, my heart sank.
And then the guy's like, "Hey, where's my stuff?" And you're like, "I swear, I sent it, buddy."
Dude, I took a picture of all the like rejected labels and stuff. I was like, I tried.
Yeah,
Like, what do you want me
yeah.
to do? I'll try again.
So did it work on the second time, or was it like a
Yeah,
whole
it
thing?
worked. It worked the second time, thank God. But it cost me $600 in shipping.
Yeah.
Yeah,
which
you should just, I guess you can't really dispute the UK post office. You can't go to the UK post office and be like, I need my money back. What's going on?
Exactly right.
Well, there's a hard part of like starting any small business where you're doing commission painting, you try and do that, is working out what I should charge to keep the customer happy and also for me to make money. And it's like, I'm sure there's part of this where you probably didn't plan ahead to spend double the amount of money on shipping, right? Did you know before going into it was going to be about $300 shipping?
No, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I'd never shipped anything to the UK before. I was like, maybe it'd be like 150 or something like that. It was not.
Yeah.
Young naive me, I remember having an experience, not necessarily Warhammer related. Young naive me was trying to sell some stuff on eBay to make money when I was a kid. So I remember having a pair of headphones that I tried selling on eBay, and I charged. I was like, I just put the dollar amount as, this is a reasonable amount to sell my headphones, and then I didn't realize I had to ship it, and that cost me $30. And then eBay takes like a 14% cut.
Yep.
So I ended up just losing money.
Yep.
And a very young me realized this sucks.
Yeah. This is
Fuck
not
eBay.
how we do business.
Yeah.
Young Kang was like, never again.
What a life lesson, man. So, all right, number 2. So after Imperial Fist and after Space Marines, what would you say? What would you say number 2, your favorite thing?
I think Lizardmen, definitely.
Yeah.
So it's like more of a nostalgia thing than anything, but like painting them like all throughout my life growing up, and then revisiting now when I'm like a better painter was just so much fun.
Have you painted Lizardmen recently?
No. The last Lizardman I painted was like 2 years ago. I decided to repaint my Stegodon to look like a realistic dinosaur, which turned out really well. But it's
So
just,
you glued a bunch of feathers to it? See?
Got him.
See what I mean?
Yeah, it is less satisfying when you think about it
this
with
was
feathers.
before they decided feathery dinosaurs, surely. I have just so many fond memories of painting them. Like I just enjoyed it so much. And the new AOS Lizardmen,
They look really good.
Yeah, they do
Really
look really
cool.
good.
Yeah.
and I've just not brought myself to start painting them for some reason. Like I have a heap of them.
And speaking about like good armies to paint, Lizardmen are actually a very beginner-friendly army to paint.
Yeah, 100%.
If you want to pick up a fantasy army, Lizardmen, buy some contrast paints.
Yep.
Prime them in Wraithbone or prime them in like a white.
Yep.
Contrast go. Actually, you get great results.
It's
Yeah,
funny you say
exactly.
that because like I think of it as the in my mind it's the complete opposite, and that's why I've never tackled a Lizardman project ever, even though it's one of my being a big fantasy fan. I've painted some of almost everything.
There's secretly every guy inside of them just have that soft spot for like dinosaurs.
But dinosaurs, yeah,
Yeah.
Every nerd specifically.
Aztec dinosaurs, bro.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
sick.
Yeah.
But to me, it's like they present such an incredible opportunity to do like for the best painter, because you on the back of the I guess, who knows if it's true anymore, but like when you look at designs of dinosaurs, the skin or the hide has always got like patterns and colors and shapes to it.
Yeah.
So you could just do all of them the same as like a basic paint, but you have this opportunity to do all of that very intricate, like natural shaping of colors,
the patterning,
and it's like one of those
scaling.
projects that I put into my mind. It's like, well, when I get good at painting, or like I'm at a level that I want, then I'll approach and do this really incredible thing.
Yeah.
But the reality is, like, with zero practice and effort, I'm never going to get to the point of being that good at it. You know what I mean?
No, you might wake up one day and just be amazing.
Incredibly good. Yeah, right.
It's possible.
And but I think there's a big reason we talked about when you did my goblins for me is like I hoarded these models for so long because it was like this theory of like, well, when I get good at it, then I'll tackle them. But the reality is, without having that project, it's not. And then the lizard man is so far above that. You know, like to me, like a super beginner is like, you know, like skeletons, right?
Yeah,
you begin there, and then you work up, and then the dinosaurs are like the very peak of that. Because if I want to have this, in my mind, this super colorful, like specific thing, especially, you know, like how the underbelly is always supposed to be a different color, like on a regular lizard, right? Yeah. It's all very white, and then it models up into where the colors on it begins.
The scales and stuff.
Yeah, how the fuck do I get that right? You know what I mean? Like, if you want to do that, like a piece of artwork that in my mind I want to achieve.
Now you're talking about blends.
Yeah,
and that's when you're talking about more intermediate to advanced techniques.
Understanding naturally what is the underbelly of the creature and what is not. I don't wonder, like, there's got to be a reason why.
And the funny thing you mentioned about like like in nature, everything has some level of variance. In nature, like patterns and fur, every creature, you know, you look at dogs, everything, right? There's a certain level of variance, and our human brain doesn't like variance, right? So it's actually one of the things that painters tackle and struggle with is creating something that is random.
Yeah,
and that's actually incredibly hard to do well.
Randomness is almost impossible for the human brain to accomplish, right? Because we're so calculating as a species that if you want to try random, you have to introduce something else.
And oftentimes it's our perception of random which actually ends up looking more orderly.
Yeah, exactly.
And you get that a lot with, say, you know, people putting tufts down on a base.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Or rocks and such.
Yeah.
Or like the battle damage is a big one where you're like,
it's everywhere.
Someone will do battle damage, but they'll get good at one of the types. And then you'll see across the army, they're like, this guy's been hit by the same guy.
There's just one guy in front of these whole
same
army
shoulder chip.
shooting the shit out of them.
All right, number three favorite thing you've done.
Number 3 favorite thing is
it's got to be my goblins that he painted for me, right? Obviously.
I think that's on the list somewhere.
It was actually, I painted some mega gargants for Dean.
Whoa. Okay, so we're talking the big giants.
Yeah. That was incredibly fun because I love painting skin and natural textures.
Really?
In general.
You like painting skin tones?
I love doing it.
Interesting. Okay.
Anything like that's supposed to look natural. I have like capes. Fucking give me a cape at any point in time.
Yeah.
I actually look pretty good in a cape as well, to be honest.
Oh yeah, I'll paint one off you.
At what point in history did men stop wearing like capes?
Oh, I know, right? I want a hat, a cane, and a thing that you just said, cape. Like, I'm on board, brother. I want to look like Penguin from Batman. Like, let's go.
You're allowed to do that, right? Like, you can just rock.
You can just rock up in a top hat.
I was a teenage child. I think I'd be bullied into relentlessness. So, again, side tangent. Were you here last night at all?
No, I left around 5 p.m.
my child friends who are like more on the like train hanging out kind of side of children, right? They messaged his group chat, and Lucas sent it to me, and he's like, "Hey, we're at the local nerd hangout," and Lucas is like, he sent back, he's like, "That's my dad's shop. Get the fuck away from there."
Dude, poor Sean. Well, I don't know what the situation here with Sean.
I don't think they came inside. I think they were out. They took photos of themselves standing outside, like in the street, like they were too scared to approach the venue.
Oh, yeah, they're still too
just
young.
people like us in the window, like.
I look at things. I look at things like that and I shrug. I'm like, we know where we are. We're nerds. Big deal.
Well, it is funny because like at the same time, these kids are like, you know, making fun of it. So my brother, who's younger than me, who's very much more on the bogan side, his friends have been getting into magic, and they're the kids that were the same kind of kids when they were younger, right? Yeah. And he sent me a photo the other day. I'll have to pull it up. his mates are playing. They've set the forklifts up next to each other, and they're playing on the back of the forklifts because they have no other flat surface.
You got to do what you got to do
on the forklifts, guy. I was like, just go get a Bunnings, get a flat table, boys.
Bro, yeah, just get a fold out fucking.
So Mega Gargants, right?
Sorry.
Big individual projects individually.
Yeah.
What was it? And how many did you have to paint?
I only painted the 2.
Gotcha.
So I
Did it
painted
take long?
the one that was like the special character guy, and then just a regular dude. No, I think probably like 10 hours of paint time each, maybe.
Wow.
Like I paint pretty fast in general, but like I just had a ton of fun with it.
They're
like,
also
I actually
just cool posed minis.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
There's
They
a
look cool.
ton of cool detail on them as well, right? You can paint every single little thing on them well because it's quite a big.
Did you get that when someone does a big project, when they're done with it, to look back and it's satisfaction?
Oh, 100%.
You painted a big miniature.
Yeah, 100%. And then like, I never got them side by side, which is annoying. But like, Dean has them somewhere if I could. But yeah, the pictures turned out really well. The skin on both of them and the face of like the dude just turned out like more than I could hope for. It was really, really fun.
It's one of those undertakings that I think I would be daunted by it. That's why I actually there's a brief moment in time where I thought about playing some Age of Sigmar, and then Mega Gargants seemed realistic. I was like, I could field 3 guys and get that done, but the thought about painting 3 big guys is also kind of daunting.
Yeah.
Not everybody's a big fan of the way that like AOS and to a degree 40k has gone, where it's the reduction in the amount of minis you've got and far more into like pillar minis where it's it's much larger. They're showcase stuff, right? But that was a big part of a reason why something like War Machine was really popular back in the day. Is you have like one large mini that is like the focus of the army, and you can really spend a lot of time on working that effort into like the art and the design and what you're going to do, rather than like Warhammer Fantasy or old school 40k where you just have 100 models that you're scooping off the table. That was like a big part of things. You spend a part of the mini, you spend like hours and hours and hours painting your guard or your skeletons or whatever it is, and then they'll die at the roll of like by the swaths, right?
Turn one before you've gone.
All
I'm
this
scooping
effort.
at my favorite models.
And I think the Mega Gargants are such a pinnacle of that, where you've got these incredibly like centerpiece models that could be like would be like in any piece of art design. It's this real focal point, and they're large and they really draw attention on the table. So it's like it is really cool, and they put an incredible amount of effort making those. Really like identity wise, like different, have like ways you can mod them up and change them. So, and I know over the years there's been really cool conversions of like people have done pretty cool stuff.
They're an impressive kit. So GW did a great job with those kits.
100%.
So,
just to make an army, is that enough, or do you need like the little giant guys?
They're like the Imperial Knights of 40k, where you got like 2 big ones and a couple small ones.
Yeah.
So, all right, now on to the juicy part. The 3 least favorite things you've had to paint, because
Can we guess?
Because you're a commission painter, right?
You've
You've been in situations where someone's given you a thing and you've had to do it because of a commission.
Yeah.
But you've definitely went.
I've
sighed
had
a little.
several of those.
So should we guess?
Based on previous conversations.
Number 1, you're goblins.
You've
You're a lizard man.
Yeah, I found that
you're green skins. Yeah.
Well, I did, and he's like, I really like paint something different. And I was like, well, I do have a 40k orc army. And he's like, go fuck yourself.
Number 2, I feel like it would be some sort of incredibly hoardy and tedious thing. So either Skaven of some kind, or maybe some kind of Necron, maybe zombies of some kind. That probably number 2.
My boat's going in for the Space Wolves. Yeah.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
From the discussions we've had, it centers more around on like the color palette being very the same across the entire thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Eli.
Space Wolves is definitely number 1 least favorite thing I've painted of all time.
Yeah.
I don't like their lore. I don't like their color palette, and I painted like 14,000 points of them.
Oh, you just kept getting dragged back in and be like, I need more Space Wolves painted.
So one of my best friends of all time, lovely guy, Brant. You know Brant. He doesn't paint, but he loves Space Wolves.
The man loves Space Wolves.
Loves Space Wolves. He's also been the reason I painted some of my favorite models as well, which is all the Demon Primarchs.
Awesome.
So he has a collection of every single Primarch and 14,000 points of Space Wolves.
Sick.
And it was an absolute nightmare to get through that.
Is it just because it's almost every single model is the exact same?
It's just grey.
Yeah.
You can't make grey interesting.
It's also like the models with Warhammer plastic, it's grey. So it starts grey and then it ends grey, and you're like, yes, like, achievement.
Yes, this took me 8 hours to turn it to a different shade of grey.
And then the Space Wolves also tend to have a lot of knickknacks around their like bodily. Like they have trinkets and jewels and hanging bits, fur.
A lot of annoying stuff to do, yeah.
Yeah.
100%. It was just...
They're not regular Space Marines.
Yeah.
What I think I've discussed with Eli before when we were talking about it is like something I always wanted to see from the Space Wolves was to focus like more into the Viking aspect of it, and maybe have them instead of when they made the weird wolf guys, which I was not really a big fan of because to me that was too chaosy for the lore.
The wolf. And
I would have liked to seen the like the Space Wolves in like the lower part of their body in like regular Space Marine gear, and then maybe have a large like belt kind of situation going around the middle, but then the upper part of the torso is always exposed. You know what I mean? It's like they have
Viking.
Like
very, a Viking berserker-esque.
It's like then you can do like tattoos and stuff on them as well. I know that skin's not much.
I have a pitch as well. Then you make them short with orange mohawks, and they're carrying 2 axes, and we call them slayers.
Well, I think it's funny you mentioned that because like I feel like they've already done like the meme version of it into the dwarves, right? Dwarves, whereas they could have leaned heavier into this. And it's like I know there's no, it makes no sense to have like shirtless guys going into battle, but also like
they're Space Wolves.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Neither does half the rest of the 40k lore.
Don't think too hard about it, bro.
Yeah, I thought it would have been like a really cool opportunity to lean into that. And then it gives you, I know painting skin isn't much more fun than painting anything else for a lot of people, but it gives it such a different visual look than so many of the other Space Marine situations.
I think there's a lot of things you can do with like a bare-chested guy as well. Like it presents a lot of opportunity to kit bash and green stuff for capes and cloaks and all that kind of like goofy stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. And like shield, bringing shields in could be far more like if you know a lot of Vikings fought with shields. That was like
that's a thing they've brought back. In the new Space Wolves.
Oh, it is?
Have you seen the new skull?
I've seen a lot of them, but I haven't really paid
like
attention.
the battle captain, he's carrying a shield now, like a round Viking style shield.
Yeah, so now you just need to model some pecs on him and you're good to go, mate.
Short and board.
Or never paint him.
Number 2.
Danny's goblins.
Yeah.
So
is it because of the samey again?
No. It wasn't the same. It was just the volume at the quality.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of models at like a pretty high quality. It was really mentally taxing.
I was willing to pay you a larger sum of money and to do less models at the same time.
Yeah, I just couldn't, like, my brain can't say charge more.
Yeah.
It just can't. I can't do it.
I get it. I just as running as a business and like we have like an emotional relationship with each other as well as like a business one.
Yeah,
and you got to find a happy medium.
Yeah.
But I think somewhere along the line, especially as a business, and this is something it took me like many years to work out on the truck, is like, well, I'm trying to keep this person happy. But if they're trying to pay you more money, take them more money. And it's also like you really got to be, you know, there's a thing that we talk about here at the club with all commission painting is that if you were a painter of a house, like a commercial painter, you would get paid more money per hour to go do that. And all you're doing is slapping white paint on a wall
100%.
than you would if you're doing this. And it's like the thing, like the quickest way to damage a business is by undervaluing your service or your product. And it is hard because you might look around at other people doing commission painting and they'll be charging significantly less. But what you generally find, and someone who's been doing this for many, many years now as well as yourself, is those people that are charging less don't end up doing it for very long or don't find a real business out of it because it's not making you the money you need to like do it consistently compared to what you can do for work. So it is hard, but if you just got to charge that money, and then the people that are happy to pay for it will, and the people that won't. And after many years of doing it, then you'll have a backlog of people that can come back to you. But it's like any business, like it's going to be hard. There's going to a lot of people be like, oh, that's way too much. But those people were never your customers in the first place.
It's tricky for commission painting because the perceived value of it is like, most people already spend so much money in their minis, and the perceived value, how much painting should cost, is way less than it actually is.
Oh, yeah.
Like, 100%. I actually think that the vast majority of commission painters should just be charging way more.
Way more. Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
definitely.
So,
and it is hard. It's not us to tell you how to run what you're doing because most people go through the same process with the commission painting as well, you know. But that is why you see such a big turnover of people that can do it consistently, because if you can go get a job somewhere else earning more money, then it makes sense
and
to
it's
do that
like
instead,
significantly less effort too, right?
Yeah.
Painting seems easy, but it's so much mental effort. Like it's like, I'm going to spend 40 hours looking at the same one dude, like stressing over it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's no matter what business you do run, it is the exact same process. Like every single day I have to have conversations with people when they complain about the value of the pricing of the trucks. Yeah. But it's hard. It's like they don't understand what goes into it, the insurance, the time, the cost, if we damage it, what it costs to replace it. You know, the fact that we're delivering $20,000 worth of tiles, but they want they're upset about $150 delivery. When you think of the percentage of cost to what we're moving is very strange, right?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing for you. It's like people don't understand the time it takes, the like mental tax it does to focus on that thing for the period of time, the amount of time it takes as well. I'm sure in their mind, they're just like a lot of people, they're just whipping the paint on and then you got to give it back. You're like, no, it's hundreds of hours of like time spent crunched over a table, you know?
It's also like the 10,000 hours I spent beforehand to get decent at painting.
Absolutely. It's a skill, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's hard. And it's like, but I do, you know, it might be like 1 out of 10 people that appreciate it and are happy to spend the money. But you have to wade through those other 9. And that is very much like any other business, unfortunately. You know?
It can be really like mentally fatiguing and taxing to deal with it all the time.
100%.
So
I think what a big part of this hobby as well is there's so many, like me with the trucks, I've been doing this for 15 years. And generally speaking, somebody comes into the business, you explain to them what it is, unless they're just like one-off customers. But like the businesses understand and grow, and then they've got experience, so they understand. And some of my best customers are ones that like, if I call them and be like, this job is too hard, they don't even have to question it because they know that after 15 years of experience that it's not, I wouldn't be saying this if it wasn't. You know what I mean? They know I've learned that I've done exceptionally hard work before, or these jobs that are a nightmare. But I've done those. So if I'm calling out to like, oh, this is no good, or I'm going to charge you more money. Most people don't even question anymore because they know that. Whereas the hobby and Warhammer, it's so like rotational, people coming in and going out all the time.
Yeah.
Your target market is always is for a lot of new players who then they're always surprised because it's their first time looking for commission painting and they're like, oh, I didn't expect it to be that much. You know, probably don't have someone like maybe Brant who's happy to spend the money as well.
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
like he's your experienced or your longevity customer who understands the work that goes into it and is happy to like pay you for the work you're doing.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
so many people come into Warhammer and then out of Warhammer, it's always these new people. It's like I could imagine if like, you know, I go into one of like the stone companies I go to and it's all new people the next week and they're all surprised again. I'm like, oh, what are we doing? What are we doing? You know, so
It is no by now.
how like when you've done commission painting, is it something you've done like advertised online, or how do you normally get people to coming towards you?
Yeah, so I started the Instagram for it quite a while ago to try and generate interest, which did get me work in a lot of like random places like the UK, the US, Sweden, Norway, like some super
The
odd
most
places.
convenient places to send me.
Yeah.
Across
and then
the world.
when I was doing it, I had a Fiverr account as well, and people would hit me up on there.
Nice.
Advertise locally here. Thanks to you guys for allowing me to put up some stuff. But a lot of it was word of mouth, probably. Like just telling this person to tell this person to tell that person.
Brand's just down on the street, just yelling at people to have their armies painted. Like,
And he would.
funnily enough, kind of, yeah.
Yeah. Like 100%. He's my biggest advocate. 100%.
he's quite a big, like, one of the friendliest guys I've ever met.
Yeah.
But very, very large, intimidating looking. So if he told me to get his army painted, I'd probably just do it.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like 6'3", covered in head to toe.
Walk up to strangers in the street, check out my space walls.
Yeah. Get that spaceful. But yeah, lovely dude. He definitely helped me with that. Kang has actually messaged me quite a few times, like this person's looking, which is really nice. So yeah, I guess it's just word of mouth is the easiest way.
And that's kind of how these like local businesses spread. It's effectively word of mouth is still the truth. Like the vast majority of how just businesses survive these days. You know, people will take the word of another person.
Yeah.
So, all right, number 3, least favorite thing you painted.
Horde armies.
Just blanket statement. Horde. If it's more than 30 guys in a unit, please.
Yeah.
Don't.
Yeah. If I'm painting 30
Go
guys
away.
and they're worth like 80 points, so I have to paint like 400 guys.
Every Skaven player ever, right?
Yeah, except for Izzy.
It's funny because we've got into like a middle ground. I was talking about it with the boys the other day. In fantasy, especially by the time we got to 8th edition, we had massive blocks of guys. There was like a colloquial kind of like acceptance that even at tournaments they had to be painted. Like the first 2 rows of the models had to be painted like properly.
Yeah.
And then as you went further back, you could accept less and less paint quality to the point where like it might be just like 1 or 2 colors on the
just
models,
primed.
right? And it's like, and because like some, like when I was running like Warhammer Fantasy Goblins, I was running 300 goblins in one block.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Holy shit. I would pay 300 of anything.
yeah, it was. It was like that, man. And like the skeletons were the same. There was plenty of horde armies in that thing. And that was a big complaint people got. It looks the coolest on the field when you're taking a picture, but everything outside of that picture, like moving them around, prepping them, painting them, transporting them.
Yeah. This is a nightmare.
Complete shit show. Yeah. And like Other games came along in the middle of fantasy, like Kings of War, where everything was like a diorama, I guess. So you could paint, instead of goblins, you have the block, which is the same size as the goblins, but you'd make a diorama with the goblins doing something, or like a pinnacle on there, or some sort of thing. So, and then you move the whole block together instead of individually taking them off, which is like how they tried to get around that. And it was very popular for that reason. But now that they've moved away from that, they knew that wasn't a great idea, and a lot of people said it was just a good way for GW to sell as many models as they could, right?
Yeah.
Now you're in this middle ground where it's not quite War Machine, so it's very, very minimal. You're in this middle ground where an army still might have like 30, 40, 80 guys in it. Yeah. So you kind of have to focus and you can't just do the first 2 rows because it's not like that anymore. They will move very interestingly, but that's still 90 guys you got to paint. That's a lot of guys.
Still a lot of dudes, right? I think this is why unit fillers became popular, right?
Yes, I loved a good unit filler.
Yeah.
And if you look at the new Warhammer Fantasy, like the old world rulebooks, they had suggestions for unit fillers.
What is a unit filler?
So it's just it could be anything, right? So if I'm doing high elves, which is what I'm collecting, right? I'm going to do spearmen. I could do like a little statue at something that'll take up like maybe 6 blocks, right, of bases, and like that represents 6 people.
Ah,
yeah.
I see.
So it's a lot less to paint. It also looks visually very interesting,
much cooler. Yeah.
And you can do like goblins is probably the best one for it, right? Because you can do absolutely anything.
I used to like making like little war wagons. Yeah. Like let's say the blocks are like 20,
that's cool.
20 mils by 20 mils, so you take up like a 40 by 60, and then when that X amount of those guys die, you can just take away the one war wagon. But it might be like that they've got a prisoner or one that
could represent, say, like 1 rank.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah. There was one of the ones I really wanted to. I kind of started, but whatever. But I made like a little fight pit where the goblins are betting on like smaller creatures fighting in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And it really gives you a really cool design. Like dwarves are great for it because they'd have wagons with like equipment and weapons on it.
Yeah.
They had the pony things.
Guys rolling kegs.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
And this was a thing that GW themselves released as well.
Not originally. No. This time around, they put it in the rulebook to show like suggestions you could do for it.
Gotcha.
Originally, they didn't do it. It was just totally like actually, to say that though, I'm sure if you go back far enough before they were so corporate, there probably was guys doing it in like White Dwarfs.
What's the epitome of the Horde army you never ever want to paint?
Skaven.
Just Skaven?
Yeah, Skaven's hard.
Skaven's hard, but I've always wanted if you could just shortcut it all with contrast.
You definitely can. Like there's ways.
Yeah, but contrast didn't exist then as well.
Yeah.
I've thought about like there are things that are also intricately detailed, right?
Yeah.
In Age of Sigmar, we have the new Cities of Sigmar models. Gorgeous looking minis, but they're humans, so you do need to pack a fair amount of them. And they're crazy intricate.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine painting that.
Yeah, 100%. That's the same problem with Skaven army as well. Like the basic rats are pretty basic, but like as you get to the more elite units, they're actually very detailed.
Yeah,
but
they go from naked rats to rats in armor.
Yeah, but you're still painting 100 of them.
And everything's covered in hair, and hair is like if you get good at like dry brushing, you're all right. But otherwise you're painting a fuckload of hair.
yeah. It can be very annoying. And
that's my situation where I've just started building my Grand Cathay, the troops, my Grand Cathay, and I realized that they're not necessarily hard to paint, but they have fine details and a lot of trimming.
Yeah,
and trimming armor for 30 guys is still painful.
Yeah, that's why Chaos is like one of those armies that's kind of annoying to paint, right?
Yeah,
like 40k Chaos is just gold trim. Gold trim on every model, on every panel, on every single thing.
That's why you play Loyalist. Don't have to worry about trim.
That's exactly why I play Loyalist.
I feel like at least there's some variation in the Chaos stuff. And
now there is.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Like the recent releases for like World Eaters, Death Guard, Emperor's Children. Yeah, 100% now.
Yeah, I do actually remember a lot of Khorne Berserkers back in the day just being pure red and not a lot else going on.
Yeah. Back when it was just this is the base Chaos and you play them as whatever you feel like.
I think a big part of like them moving away from I don't know what it was before, like static poses to like dynamic poses. But I think converters and people that are into that side of the hobby, maybe it's less good because there's not as much you can change or do with it. But it has taken away a lot of the big, thick, like large open panels that existed in so much of previous Warhammer, where it was like huge big armor pieces or shields, or like it was like bits that are really hard, and if you fuck it up in your model, it's really hard to come back from or to not be noticeable because of these big open spaces.
Yeah, 100%.
So the dynamic posing has taken a lot away from that, especially like capes and stuff, which for a below average painter, you could they look it's hard to do not bad. You know what I mean?
So for one more thing as well. the advent of 3D printing now. Have you had a chance to paint many 3D printed minis?
I have actually painted a lot of 3D printed stuff. So my commissioning is not just Warhammer. That's my favorite thing, but it's not all I do. For example, Josh, you know Josh, gave me a really, really awesome 3D print. But there's just certain things they can't quite get yet. Wings is a big one.
Interesting.
So they can't. Yeah. I just haven't seen the detail in wings that you can get from injection molding in 3D printing.
Yeah,
it's so flimsy and small, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah. And resin tends to be a bit heavier, so trying to stick it onto a mini elegantly is trickier.
Yeah, 100%. It's just I don't know what they need to change, but once they get wings sorted, we find
that's what GW's holdout is just on wings. They're like, we've got it, boys. As long as we can keep the wings down, we're good to go.
Every miniature starts coming out flying now.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, they had the opportunity to do that with the Sanguinary Guard, and they didn't give them wings.
That's true. That's such a letdown.
In modern Warhammer model releases, that's got to be such like a blasphemy. Is that change to the Sanguinary Guard, right?
What a missed mark.
Do you think people like the average painter who's the regular consumer of those models like struggle to deal with wings, like painting them, and that's why they moved away from it? Or is it a law
wings
thing?
aren't hard.
No, wings are really easy.
You don't have to. It's not.
I don't know why they
Pocket Theory White exists.
Yeah. The worst part about it is in all the lore art and the box art, they have wings.
Oh, okay, really?
Yeah, correct. And then the models
on the release box art, they picked the Sanguinary Guard as angelic like Avengers. They're coming down from the sky with wings. But in the mini, they just have jetpacks.
It's also weird as well because compared to old jetpacks, those jetpacks are really chody. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Why are they so bulbous?
Yeah.
It's weird.
They've taken my square rectangular jetpacks away.
Yeah, it's done. It's ridiculous.
All right, understand. And on that little rant there, we've crossed the hour 15 mark here. Thank you very much for jumping on the podcast, Eli. You're a wonderful guest. Thank you very much for Kool-Aid manning your way through, Danny.
I expect nothing less, honestly.
Any last words? DarkServitor.
Find me on Instagram, DarkServitor, or come down to the northern boards and have a look in the cabinet.
We'll put a sticker on the middle of your forehead so you know where to get it from.
Exactly.
I've got 2 stickers in the cabinet. I can put some more stickers on the thing.
All right. Thank you very much for listening. Take care, everyone.
Cheers, boys.
Bye.